All right, so we are going to talk about the moon. It's our nearest neighbor, so this is us. Look, there's South America, and here's the moon, so it is the closest thing we have. So what is the moon? It's our natural satellite, meaning it is naturally orbiting the Earth, as we've discussed, and to orbit, we remember that something has to have mass and be close in proximity. It is one of 96 moons in the solar system. Obviously, Earth only has one moon, but there are many planets, as you remember, that have more than one moon. For example, Saturn having 31. And like I said, it's the only moon on our planet. Location, location, location. So we are about 240,000 miles from the moon, or the moon is about 240,000 miles from us, or 384,000 kilometers, and it is about 1/4 the size of the Earth. So some things that exist on the Earth. So we have the highlands. If you see all this like mountainous type region, they're up to about 25,000 feet tall. If you think about that, all of the mountains in Colorado are no higher than 14,000 feet, so they're pretty big. And then they have trench-like valleys, so like these valleys that kind of fall in the middle. They're like big canyons, kind of like the Grand Canyon. There are craters, so just big areas of big depressions. They can be up to 1,500 miles across, so that's the size of the United States. It's just a big hole, basically, from typically when a meteorite impacted it, so hit it, or some sort of volcanic eruption or action inside the moon. And then there's the Maria. People thought that they were seas. They're like basically little dark spots in the Earth's surface, and they tend to be filled by lava when meteorites crash into the moon. And this happened 3 to 4 billion years ago. Now it's just mostly rock, so volcanic rock. Basalt is a volcanic rock. Okay, so you can see the craters, okay, and you can see the Maria, these little dark spots right here. The shining moon. So the moon seems to shine because it reflects the sunlight. So the moon doesn't actually have any light of its own. It only reflects the sunlight. So here's our sun, here's the Earth, here's the moon. Now, if the sun is shining this way, okay, the side of the moon that's facing away from the Earth is going to get all the light, and so the side that's facing towards us will be completely dark, and that's the new moon. And as the moon orbits the Earth, different parts of it will seem to illuminate for us. So here, the sun is shining right here, and now it's in this part of its orbit, so we can see some of the lit up half. Here we can see half the lit up half. Now we can see 3/4 of the lit up half. Now we can see the full moon. So that's kind of how it appears to shine for us. The movements of the moon. So the moon orbits around Earth once every 27 1/3 days. The moon rises in the east and sets in the west. I hope you know that. Excuse me. The moon turns on its axis. So just like we rotate for a day every 24 hours, the moon turns on its axis the same amount of time as it takes for it to rotate the Earth, so every 27 1/3 day. So the same side of the moon is always facing Earth, so we call the other side the dark side, even though it's not always dark, right? Because when it's a new moon for us, the other side is lit up, but it is dark to us because we can't see it. And then the changing relative positions of the moon, Earth, and sun cause the phases of the moon, eclipses, which we'll go into next week, and tides, which we'll go into next week. So here's all the lovely phases of the moon. Okay, starting from the beginning and all the way through the month. Okay, so moonlight is reflected in sunlight. We know that. Half the moon's surface is always reflecting light. From Earth, we see different amounts of the moon's lit surface. The amount seen is called the phase. So phases, the different forms of the moon takes in its appearance from Earth. The sequence of phases in the lunar cycle lasts 29.5 days. So for 29.5 days, that's how long it takes for us to see all of the different phases of the moon. So the 4 main shapes you're going to see is a full, that is either where it is completely lit up or completely not lit up. The crescent, so when a quarter of it, or excuse me, a quarter of it is lit up. The quarter, so when half of it is lit up, and the gibbous, so when 3/4 of it is lit up. So waxing, when we call a phase waxing, that means it's growing. When we call a phase waning, that means it's shrinking. So we'll start at the new moon, okay? So here's the new moon. Remember, the sun is here, so the other side, you can see right here, this side of the moon is lit up. On Earth, we can only see this side, so it's the new moon, or a completely black moon, we don't see it, that's lit up. Then it rotates to here. Okay, at this point we can see a little bit of that lit up section, and that's the crescent moon. It's a waxing crescent moon because it's growing. Here we can see half of the lit up moon, so it is the first quarter moon. We see half of it. Here we can see most of the lit up side, so we see 3/4 of it. It's the waxing gibbous moon. Here we can see the entire lit up side, and so it is the full moon. Here it is starting to shrink, so we call it the waning gibbous moon because it's 3/4, so gibbous means 3/4. Then we have the last third quarter, or the third quarter moon, which is where we still see half of it, but it is shrinking. And then we have the crescent moon, or the waning crescent moon, which is where we just see a little tiny piece of the moon before it goes back to being a new moon. So the new moon is when the moon is between the Earth and the sun and can't be seen. The full moon is when the Earth is between the moon and the sun and the whole side is lit up. So it looks like this. The new moon looks like this. The full moon looks like this. The waxing crescent. So the waxing crescent is the first visible thin slice of moon. It's usually on the right side when we're looking at it. The first quarter is half of it lit up. Again, it's the right half, and that's how we know it's waxing or growing. The waxing gibbous is more than 1/4 is visible, and again, it's on the right side. That's how we know it's waxing. And then we have the full moon, like I said, is when the Earth is between the moon and the sun, so the whole side we can see is lit up. Then we have the waning gibbous. It starts after the full moon, and it's when 3/4 of it is lit up, and that would be on the left side now. The third quarter, only half the moon's lighted side is visible, and again, that's on the left side. And then the waning crescent, the last visible slice before a new moon, and that is on the left side, a little tiny bit of it. And then the new moon is when there is nothing there. So that is it on moon phases. Thank you.